Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Before we get started, make sure you've hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future deep dives. And don't forget to click the bell icon for notifications too. Today we're exploring something crucial for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you're a UPSC aspirant gearing up for the environment and ecology section, a student diving into the fascinating world of biology,
Right.
or simply someone who wants to understand the planet we call home a little better.
Absolutely.
We're talking about ecosystems,
Yeah.
those intricate webs of life that surround us.
Everywhere.
Get ready to uncover the secrets of ecosystems and learn how they impact our lives
Oh, yeah, in ways you might not have even
in
imagined.
ways you might not have even imagined.
You know, when most people think about ecosystems, they picture lush rainforests or vast oceans.
Right.
But the truth is, ecosystems are everywhere.
Oh,
From a bustling city park to a tiny puddle in your backyard, they all qualify. And believe me, they're way more complex than just a bunch of trees and birds hanging out together.
okay, that's intriguing. So what exactly makes an ecosystem an ecosystem? What are the defining characteristics?
Now, our research highlights a key point, a defined geographical area. It's like drawing a boundary around a specific space where living organisms and their physical environment interact. Think of it as a self-contained stage where the drama of life unfolds.
So it's not just about the species present, but also about the specific place they inhabit and how they interact with it, right?
Exactly. And within this defined space, you have two main players, the biotic and the abiotic components.
Right, the living and the non-living, like a giant cosmic dance.
Yeah.
Can you break that down for us a bit further?
Absolutely. Biotic components are all the living things in that ecosystem. We're talking plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, even those microscopic organisms we can't see with the naked eye. They're all constantly interacting, competing for resources, hunting and being hunted, forming symbiotic relationships. It's a real soap opera.
I bet. And then you have the stage itself, the abiotic components which set the scene for this drama.
Right. The abiotic factors include things like temperature, sunlight, water-soil composition, and the overall climate of the region. These factors heavily influence which species can survive and thrive within that specific ecosystem.
It's fascinating how everything is interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Even a slight shift in temperature or rainfall can have a ripple effect throughout the entire ecosystem.
Precisely. Take the Sundarbans mangrove forests, for example.
Okay.
They're a unique ecosystem found in India and Bangladesh, thriving in brackish water where rivers meet the sea. The salinity of the water, a crucial abiotic factor, plays a major role in shaping the plant and animal life found there. You won't find typical freshwater or marine species in that environment.
That's a great example of how a specific abiotic factor can dictate the types of life that can exist in an ecosystem.
Huh.
So we've got the stage, the actors, and the setting. Now, how does this ecological play actually unfold?
Well, that's where the functions of an ecosystem come in.
Okay.
It's not just a static scene, it's a dynamic process with energy constantly flowing and nutrients being cycled through. It's like a well-choreographed dance with each element playing a crucial role.
Okay, let's unpack this dance. Our research mentions energy flow, nutrient cycling, ecological succession, and something called homeostasis.
Yeah.
I have to admit that last one sounds a bit intimidating.
Don't worry, it's not as complex as it sounds. But before we get into those details, think about this. Almost all ecosystems on Earth are powered by the sun. It's the ultimate source of energy.
Ah, so it all starts with that good old sunshine.
Exactly. Plants, being the amazing producers they are, capture the solar energy through photosynthesis and convert it into a form that other organisms can use. They're like the chefs of the ecosystem, whipping up a delicious meal for everyone else.
So that's the first step in the energy flow,
Right.
from the sun to the plants.
Precisely. And from there, the energy travels up through the food chain. Herbivores, or plant eaters, munch on those energy-rich plants.
Yes.
And then carnivores come along and feast on the herbivores. It's a classic story of eat or be eaten.
And each step in this chain represents what's called a trophic level, right?
You got it. Each trophic level signifies a feeding level within the ecosystem. But here's a crucial point. As energy moves from one level to the next, a significant chunk of it is lost as heat. It's not a perfectly efficient system.
So there's a limit to how many levels a food chain can have.
Yeah.
There simply wouldn't be enough energy left to support more.
Exactly. That's why most food chains are limited to 4 or 5 levels. It's like a pyramid. The base is wide with lots of producers, but the top is narrow with just a few top predators. Imagine a tiger in the Sundarbans. It's at the top of its food chain, relying on the energy captured by countless plants and passed through various animals before reaching it. It's a powerful symbol of the interconnectedness of life.
That's a vivid image. It makes you realize how delicate this balance truly is. Now, what about nutrient cycling? How do those essential elements move through the ecosystem?
Well, picture it like this. The actors on our ecological stage need more than just energy to perform. They need essential nutrients like carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and water to build their bodies and carry out their life processes. These nutrients are constantly being recycled through the ecosystem in what we call biogeochemical cycles.
I've heard about the carbon cycle and the nitrogen cycle. Are those examples of these biogeochemical cycles?
Absolutely. These cycles involve the movement of elements between living organisms, the atmosphere, the soil, and water. It's a continuous loop, ensuring that these vital elements are constantly available.
So it's like a giant recycling system, keeping the ecosystem supplied with essential building blocks.
And this is where the unsung heroes of the ecosystem step in, the decomposers.
Right, the ones who break down all the dead stuff. I always found them fascinating, even if they aren't the most glamorous creatures.
They're essential. Bacteria and fungi are the master decomposers. They break down dead organisms and waste products, releasing those locked up nutrients back into the soil or water. Think of them as the cleanup crew, ensuring the stage is ready for the next act.
That's a crucial role for sure. It's like nature's composting system, constantly replenishing the ecosystem with those vital nutrients.
Without decomposers, essential elements would become trapped in dead matter, and the whole system would eventually grind to a halt. It's a reminder that even the smallest and often overlooked players have a vital role in maintaining the balance of life.
This is all starting to paint a really intricate picture of how ecosystems function. We've got energy flowing, nutrient cycling. It's a dynamic system, but it also seems to maintain a certain level of stability.
And that brings us to homeostasis. Remember that term that sounded a bit intimidating?
Yes, I'm still a bit curious about that one. How does an ecosystem manage to maintain this stability despite all the changes happening within it?
Well, homeostasis is essentially an ecosystem's ability to self-regulate and maintain a relatively stable internal environment. Think of it as a balancing act, a delicate dance between different forces trying to maintain equilibrium.
So it's like a built-in thermostat keeping everything in check.
That's a good analogy. But imagine it's even more sophisticated than a thermostat. Ecosystems have a whole suite of feedback mechanisms that help them respond to change. There are positive feedback loops which can amplify change, sometimes leading to instability.
So a small change can snowball into something much bigger. That sounds a little bit concerning.
It can be, especially in the context of things like climate change, where even small temperature increases can trigger a cascade of effects. But there are also negative feedback loops which work to counteract change and promote stability.
So it's like a push and pull, a constant balancing act between these different forces.
Exactly. A classic example is the predator-prey relationship. If the predator population increases, it puts pressure on the prey population, causing it to decline. This, in turn, leads to a shortage of food for the predators, causing their population to decrease as well. It's a constant dance of checks and balances, helping to maintain a dynamic equilibrium within the ecosystem.
It's like nature has its own built-in mechanisms to prevent things from spiraling out of control. But sometimes these mechanisms can be overwhelmed by external pressures, right?
Absolutely. Human activities in particular can disrupt these delicate balances, leading to a whole host of problems.
Right, like habitat destruction, pollution, and climate change. They all have major impacts on ecosystems.
Exactly. Understanding these feedback mechanisms is crucial for predicting how ecosystems might respond to those pressures, and it helps us develop strategies to mitigate the negative impacts.
It's all starting to make a lot more sense now. We've got the basic building blocks of an ecosystem, the constant flow of energy, the cycling of nutrients, and these intricate feedback mechanisms that help maintain stability. It's a complex but incredibly fascinating system.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore about how these ecosystems function and how they provide essential services that benefit us all.
That's a great point. I'm really curious to delve deeper into those ecosystem services and see how they impact our lives. But let's save that fascinating conversation for the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned, folks. This ecological adventure is just getting started.
You know, it's amazing how these intricate mechanisms we talked about, the energy flow, nutrient cycling, and feedback loops, all work together to keep an ecosystem running smoothly. It's like a well-oiled machine, but instead of gears and cogs, it's powered by life itself.
It's a beautiful analogy.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize that it's not just about the survival of individual species, but about the health and resilience of the entire system. But how does this all connect back to us, to humans? We often view ourselves as separate from nature, but are we really?
That's a great Victorian, and it leads us right into the concept of ecosystem services. These are the multitude of ways ecosystems benefit humans, often without us even realizing it. Think of it as nature's gift basket, overflowing with goodies that sustain our lives.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Unpack this gift basket for us. What kind of goodies are we talking about?
Well, for starters, clean air and water.
Right.
Our research points out the crucial role ecosystems play in purifying these essential resources. Think about forests acting as giant air filters absorbing pollutants and releasing fresh oxygen. Or wetlands acting like natural water treatment plants, removing impurities and providing us with safe drinking water.
It's amazing how nature has its own built-in purification systems. We often take these services for granted, but without them, our health and well-being would be seriously compromised.
Absolutely. And it's not just about basic survival. Ecosystems also contribute to our economy and cultural values. They provide us with food timber medicines and a wealth of other resources. They inspire art, literature, and spiritual practices. They offer opportunities for recreation and tourism. The list goes on and on.
It's like a giant web of interconnectedness, where the health of ecosystems directly impacts our own well-being on so many levels. It makes you realize that we're not separate from nature at all, but rather deeply embedded within it.
Exactly. And that's why understanding ecosystem services is so crucial, not just for environmentalists, but for policymakers, economists, and everyday citizens. Recognizing the value of these services can help us make more informed decisions about how we manage and interact with the natural world.
So let's delve a little deeper into some specific examples. Our research mentions climate regulation as a key service provided by ecosystems. Can you elaborate on that a bit more?
Well, think about forests. They act as massive carbon sinks, absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through photosynthesis. This helps to mitigate the effects of climate change by reducing greenhouse gas concentrations. They also influence local climate patterns by regulating temperature and humidity through processes like transpiration.
It's like they're giant natural air conditioners, keeping the planet cool and comfortable. And wetlands play a role too, right?
Absolutely. Wetlands store vast amounts of carbon in their soils, preventing it from being released into the atmosphere. They also act as buffers against storms and floods, protecting coastal communities from the impacts of climate change.
It's fascinating how these ecosystems play such a vital role in regulating our planet's climate. And it's not just about climate. We also rely on ecosystems for the food we eat, the clothes we wear, and countless other products we use every day, right?
Exactly. Ecosystems provide us with a wide range of goods and services, from food and timber to fibers and medicines. They support agriculture, fisheries, and forestry industries, contributing significantly to our economy. They also provide a wealth of genetic resources that can be used for research and development, leading to new innovations in medicine, agriculture, and biotechnology.
It's incredible to think about all the ways we depend on these ecosystems, often without even realizing it. And yet, despite their vital importance, highlights several major threats facing ecosystems today.
Unfortunately, that's true. Human activities are causing habitat loss and fragmentation at an alarming rate. Deforestation, urbanization, and agricultural expansion are fragmenting and destroying natural habitats, pushing countless species towards extinction.
It's like we're tearing apart the very fabric of life, disrupting the delicate balance that has evolved over millions of years. And pollution is a major factor too, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Pollution from industrial activities, agricultural runoff, and plastic waste is contaminating our air, water, and soil, poisoning ecosystems and harming wildlife. We're seeing the devastating effects of pollution in coral reefs bleached by warming waters, rivers choked with plastic debris, and forests struggling to survive in acidified soils.
It's heartbreaking to witness the destruction we're causing. And then there's climate change, which is already impacting ecosystems worldwide, altering temperature and precipitation patterns, leading to shifts in species distribution and overall ecosystem functioning.
Climate change is acting as a threat multiplier, exacerbating existing problems like habitat loss and pollution. It's pushing ecosystems to their limits, leading to more frequent and severe droughts, floods, wildfires, and other extreme weather events.
It's a grim picture, but we can't afford to despair. Our research also highlights the importance of sustainable practices that can help protect and restore these vital ecosystems.
Absolutely. There's a growing awareness of the need to shift towards more sustainable practices that promote the health and resilience of ecosystems. Protecting and restoring habitats, reducing pollution, and transitioning to renewable energy sources are crucial steps in safeguarding the services ecosystems provide.
So it's not just about protecting nature for nature's sake, but about protecting ourselves and ensuring a sustainable future for generations to come.
Exactly. We need to move away from the mindset that sees humans as separate from nature and embrace a more holistic approach that recognizes our interconnectedness. Our own well-being is inextricably linked to the health of our planet.
It's a powerful message, and one that we need to hear loud and clear. We've explored the incredible complexity and importance of ecosystems, and we've seen the very real threats they face. But it's also clear that we have the knowledge and tools to make a difference.
And it's not just about big sweeping changes. Individual actions like reducing our carbon footprint, conserving water, and supporting sustainable businesses can collectively have a significant impact.
It's about making conscious choices in our daily lives, recognizing that even small actions can contribute to a healthier planet. This deep dive into ecosystems has been incredibly eye-opening, and it's certainly given me a lot to think about.
Me too. It's a reminder that we're not just observers of nature, but active participants in its ongoing story. And the choices we make today will shape the future of our planet and all its inhabitants.
Well said. But let's not end on a somber note. There's so much beauty and wonder in the natural world, and I think it's important to celebrate that too.
Absolutely. Spending time in nature, observing its intricate patterns, and appreciating its diversity can fill us with a sense of awe and inspiration.
It's a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things and our place within this grand web of life.
And it can motivate us to protect and preserve these precious ecosystems for future generations.
Well, that's a perfect segue into the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore the specific ways we can all contribute to a more sustainable future. Stay tuned, folks. There's still much more to discover. As we wrap up this deep dive into ecosystems, it's becoming even more clear to me that knowledge is power. The more we understand about these intricate systems,
Right.
the better equipped we are to protect them.
Absolutely. And that's where ecological understanding becomes so crucial for effective policymaking and conservation efforts. It's not just about good intentions, it's about having a solid scientific foundation to guide our actions.
Our research highlights several examples of how ecological knowledge can inform real-world decisions.
Yeah.
For instance, understanding the impact of habitat fragmentation on biodiversity can guide land use planning and infrastructure development.
Exactly. By understanding how roads, urban sprawl, and other human developments can disrupt animal movement and gene flow,
Yeah.
we can design more sustainable infrastructure that minimizes these negative impacts. Imagine a wildlife corridor built over a busy highway, allowing animals to safely cross and maintain genetic diversity. That's a great example of ecological knowledge in action.
That's a fantastic example. And speaking of practical applications, what about pollution control?
Well, knowing how pollutants move through food webs is crucial for developing effective pollution control measures. Take the case of mercury contamination in fish.
Go.
By understanding how mercury accumulates in aquatic food chains, we can set stricter limits on industrial mercury emissions to protect both wildlife and human health.
It's fascinating how seemingly unrelated things like industrial emissions and the fish we eat are actually interconnected through these ecological pathways. It really highlights the importance of taking a holistic approach to environmental management.
Absolutely, and this understanding isn't just for scientists and policymakers, it's relevant for all of us. Remember, even small actions can have a ripple effect.
Exactly. Our research emphasizes the power of individual choices in shaping a more sustainable future. From reducing our carbon footprint to supporting sustainable agriculture, to simply appreciating the interconnectedness of life around us, every little action counts.
Imagine millions of people making conscious choices every day using public transport,
Yeah.
opting for locally sourced produce, reducing plastic consumption, and advocating for environmental protection. It's a powerful collective force for change.
It's about shifting from a mindset of apathy or helplessness
Right.
to one of empowerment and action. We're not just passengers on this planet, we're the crew,
Yeah.
and we have a responsibility to steer it in the right direction.
And that starts with education and awareness. The more we understand about ecosystems, the more likely we are to make choices that support their health and resilience. That's why initiatives like this deep dive are so important. They bring these complex concepts to life and inspire action.
Well said. It's been an incredible journey exploring the world of ecosystems. We've delved into their complexity, their importance, the threats they face, and most importantly, how we can all play a part in their protection.
It's been a reminder that we're not just observers of nature, but integral parts of it. And by understanding and valuing these intricate webs of life, we can create a brighter future for ourselves and generations to come.
That's a perfect note to end on. So to all our listeners out there, whether you're a UPSC aspirant, a student, or simply a curious citizen, We encourage you to continue exploring the fascinating world of ecosystems. Look around you, observe the intricate connections, ask questions, and learn more about the amazing web of life that sustains us all.
And remember, even small actions can make a difference. By understanding and valuing ecosystems, we can all contribute to a healthier, more sustainable future.
That's it for today's deep dive. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell icon for notifications so you don't miss out on future episodes. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world around us.